pots and grating cheese, making spumoni, and doing everything else in the restaurant for mopping floors. By the time I was 14, I felt probably the word, which I don't like, I sort of felt entitled. My mom and dad's restaurant, by the way, it was a small little restaurant, 9 tables. I fired the chef, and my father came in on a Friday afternoon, and he said, I understand you fired our chef, John. I said, yeah, Dad, whatever he did. He was drinking some beer in the kitchen. It was probably 120 degrees in the kitchen. The outside temperature in Las Vegas in August was about 110. And we didn't have air conditioning. We had swamp coolers back then. So my father said, you never fire a chef on a Friday. You need him for the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday's busy. You fire him on Monday. You hire John back, and then you can fire him on. Then a chef is to be fired on a Monday. We sit down to the table in this little pizza restaurant, and the chef comes over, and my father said, John, Larry wants to talk to you. I said, John, I made a mistake. I have to hire you back. But remember, I knew I was going to get to fire John on Monday. And my father said, okay, is that official? Is he back? I said, yes. He says, good, John, I'm just promoting you from chef to general manager, and your first job is to fire my son. And I never worked for another day in my life for my father. What happened in that moment at 14 years of age, I knew that I had to work to get a car when I turned 16. And it devastated me. But I wound up getting a job and went to work at the Sahara Hotel as a busboy, and I worked my way all the way up from busboy to room service to front desk, and then went to Caesars, and I'm still a young man. But the listeners have to know, regardless of your age, youth is not a hindrance if you speak up. I was able, at 21 years old, to become the night manager, the youngest night manager ever in Las Vegas Strip of the Frontier Hotel. I got the job in an interview, and I explained to the general manager, who was my friend, became my friend later, Burton Cohn, a legendary hotelier in Las Vegas. And I was working at Caesars Palace, and he said, see, you want to be the night manager. We have a job for you at the front desk as an assistant manager. I said, Mr. Cohn, I'm working at Caesars Palace. You're asking me to come on a proposition bet from the field. It's like playing the field to come to the Frontier. He says, what are you talking about? I says, it's gaming vernacular. You're from Miami. You're coming to Las Vegas. You need me more than you think, more than I need this job. And I got the job. Fast forward, Frontier Hotel sold. Howard Hughes buys it. And I saw enormous amount of bureaucracy rearing its ugly head. And I had an opportunity to go work at the Playboy Club. And that's a whole nother long story, but as I was working at the Frontier, at the Playboy Club, I went to my boss, a legendary restaurateur and restaurant and hotelier, Noel Stein. I'm now about 23. And I said, the general manager was promoted and I want to apply for the job. I got the job. And there were a lot of people. But at 23 years old, I was the general manager of the Playboy Club. But as I mentioned earlier, I was an only child, and it was an opportunity for a small beer distributorship to be acquired in Las Vegas. And I moved back to Las Vegas with my love of wine and saw an opportunity believed that the 5 o'clock cocktail would be a thing of the past, and there would be opportunities for wine. And with that, Southern Wine was started. It was Best Brands, and we developed Southern Wine, and most recently merged with Glazers, and now Southern Glazers. We were one of 12 distributors in Las Vegas, and we were number 12. In about 3 years, I climbed to number 10 and then number 9. And along the way, we're clearing away number 1. But 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, those people we either acquired or they're out of business. And we did it the old-fashioned way. We absolutely had some luck, but we worked hard, and we believe knowledge is power, and we were innovative. Any business you have, you need to think out of the box and break the paradigms. And Southern has done that. As we were starting the company, there was a YPO, Young Presidents Organization, meeting at Caesar's Palace that I was invited to attend. The speaker was a man named Meshulam Rickless. And in the audience, at about 28 years old, I was. Rick is how he went by. Rick spoke about his history of writing one of the first books of The Art of Corporate Merger and a titan in business, and he was a billionaire, successful businessman. And along the way, he said, when you're starting your business, you must be involved in your community. You must be involved in charitable organizations. You must get your name out there that you are a leading citizen of your community. Now, I had a very small business, and I raised my hand. I said, well, what if you're starting a business and you don't have the money to donate to charities and support it? He says, find a way to do it, or your competition will. Well, I found a way. And we became very involved. Southern and Harvey Chaplin, my great friend, my mentor and chairman of this company, had a commandment, like Rickless. Get involved in your community, or your competition will. We followed that commandment, and along the way, I'm proud to say that our organization is one of the most admired and respected companies in our state, not only for the work environment, but for our involvement in the state and all the charities and events we support. As I fast forward to 1994, February 18th, which will be 25 years this February, after I lost my dad, I had to take my mom into the hospital for back surgery, knee surgery, because I was ignorant about caregiving. I didn't know that caregivers often die before the patients, and they're sleep deprived and malnourished and stressed. And I wanted to do something to change that. Unfortunately, my mom's still with me. She's going to be 95 February 1st. But after all the surgeries, and she's sharp as a tack, I could tell you my phone number backwards. But orthopedically, she's a mess, because when you love somebody and you don't have anybody there and they fall, you help them up. Unless you know how to pick people up, you're going to hurt yourself. Or you're going to stay up all night with them. So I've developed a chair for the Cleveland Clinic. It's the first of its kind in the world, I'm told. It's going to be called the Angie Ruvo Caregiving Chair. And when people walk into that Frank Gehry building with their loved ones or friends or associates or neighbors that have one of these brain health diseases, we immediately take the caregiver, and we become like the mask in the airplane. Take care of yourself first before you help the baby. This is where you both live. We have one of the most vibrant caregiving programs in the world. That YPO taught me about giving back. Harvey Chaplin and the Chaplin family talked to me about giving back. Southern Glazers talks about giving back. The pride I feel with my wife Camille when we go down to the center, and this year see over 30,000 patient visits along with all the families and programs. Go to our website, keepmemoryalive.org, or Cleveland Clinic, Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health.org. You'll see a new model in healthcare. It's different. Shouldn't all of us have the latest technology so the radiologist doesn't miss something? And shouldn't we have the top people taking care of us like we do our cars and trucks? Each of us listening has a loved one. For your family and for you, knowledge is power on healthcare. You should look at your healthcare the same way you're looking when you go on vacation. Where do I stay? Where do I eat? What's the entertainment? You need to have that same tenacity and take care of your bodies and your health and your families. So from early on, my dad firing me, the argument with my mom and dad about giving back and God will take care of it. This has not been an easy ride building this Frank Gehry building and putting all these. We've had a lot of bumps, and I've had a lot of sleepless nights. But in this particular instance, I remember what I learned early on. God will take care of it, and He has.
Larry, really appreciate the heartfelt story, and you've touched home with me. Both my grandparents are in their 90s. My grandfather's the caregiver and probably the one suffering the most, and my grandmother has Alzheimer's. So thank you for that. You know, you're probably one of the most important individuals in Las Vegas with the team of people that you have here and the influence that you've had over the city. And I'm just wondering what you would say to people that wanted to get into this business, or maybe to your own team, the warehouse guys, the people working the front lines. What advice you might give, career advice to them as they're listening to the show and thinking about where they're going to go in life?
Knowledge is power. Again, I learned this one from my mother. At the Venetian, one night, one of the chefs was giving her some aggravation. She said to him, "Look, tonight's Wednesday. If you really want to aggravate or think you're going to aggravate me, you should walk out of here on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pick Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. Pick one of those busy days and walk out. Because there's not a job you can do that I can't do. If you start on the ground floor and you learn whatever you're going into, whatever business you're going into, you can't have people work with you unless they respect you. You have to know to be able to train them. You have to know everybody's function. Now, I learned the hard way with this warehouse early on. Everything from running the warehouse, receiving, delivering, purchasing, maintenance. I didn't have money, so I turned the lights off at night when we left. But people know that I know how to do everybody's